My name is Warren, and I'm hopeful to participate in this grand experiment that they call podcasting. And nobody knows who I am, but I have a very important thing to say, and so I can get somebody to listen to it. I decided that I wouldn't be wearing any pants. So in the title of this, I'll be able to say with all honesty that I'm not wearing any pants. But I'm here because I have a warning. You can hear it going off in the distance. It's a warning that's very important that we hear. And it is about the Charlie Kirk assassination and the information overload and the governments and the powers of the world. And I think it's cool, and I kind of came up with it in a way by talking to AI and sort of going through some stuff. And I like AI because it gives me history lessons, and I say, what about this? And it gives me a quick history, and it's always quick, and I just feel smarter, even if I'm not. So I might be wrong, but after putting this together, I can say that this Charlie Kirk assassination is one thing for certain, and that is it is an effort to destabilize our country, our way of life, or the world. You know, it's an effort to destabilize, and it is a concerted effort. And I don't believe this. I think we've just seen information in the last few hours here that has pretty much vindicated or exposed this Tyler character, the lone gunman theory. We've pretty much seen it dispelled, and we don't have really a belief in the public domain right now that we're being told the truth. So to that end, I'm trying to have something to say about it that is an original take, okay? And I don't know, but here's the take. Charlie Kirk's assassination is very much like the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. And if you don't know who that is, he was the guy that was killed at the beginning, and is said by many to be the reason for the First World War. A Serbian young man, 19 years old, assassinated both the Archduke and his wife. And it caused a series of events in Northern Europe that precipitated Germany and France and others actively headed into war. And if you look at the similarities, what you see is that we're at a similar point in time a couple of ways. One, we have a destabilized global environment, and the hegemon game of global control is not working out as well, you know, where it's such a clear pecking order. And there are new players, China, and there are new corporate players and billionaire players that are at the table, and they're trying to participate in this. So what you've got is such a cluttered bunch of stuff, and then behind that a backdrop of AI and internet sleuthing and podcasts and Candace Owens. It's driving people nuts, okay? And this is why the only antidote for what's happening is that we need to stabilize because the effort to destabilize is underway. So we need to stabilize. And Charlie Kirk was a force of stabilization, strong men and families, and love your wife and live a simple life and be a humble Lord of your own world under a picture of Christ, and just such a clear bunch of dynamics in his own philosophy that even if you didn't choose to be a super strong idea of Christ in your thinking, that you saw that his formula was a good one and made good lives and stable country. And we can just see now that what's about to come out here is a story that this was an attack. And the question is whether or not we will listen to it. And this is what I developed in terms of my own internalization of this and trying to make something out of it that'd be worth getting on a video and saying something about it. What most people don't know is that just before Archduke Ferdinand and his wife were assassinated in the hills of Sarajevo, even on the same journey, there was an explosion and somebody threw an explosive device in front of the car that carried them. And it killed somebody, I think, if I remember right, but it didn't kill them. And so as an act of bravery, Archduke Ferdinand and his wife continued on, only to be assassinated a short time later by a coordinated military-style attack that ended up being in the hands of a 19-year-old, but was a conspiracy on a much larger level. And so here we are looking at this Tyler Robinson, whatever his name is, Peterson, I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't appear he was the shooter, because there now is information that would essentially exonerate him, but it would also show him to be part of a conspiracy. And when we determine that a conspiracy is real at this level, you have to kind of go to that next step of what's happening. And the obvious assertion is somebody's trying to destabilize. So be stable and be clear and be motivated by things that are right and stable and good. And I don't exactly know what that means in every case, but if prayer is the thing that helps us, then I would pray we would have good governors. As Socrates said, the only way to have a good government is if you have good governors. And we have to pray that we have good people that are being clear-minded about what the heck they're facing, and both at the investigatory level and at the now huge information and messaging and dissemination layer that they're going to use. And that we've already seen how if they think it's good for us to be lied to, they will lie to us. So if we are at war with some faction of an international conspiracy that may or may not be connected to the Iran and Israel conflict, then this whole situation is such a mess that the unwinding of it is going to require some really great focus. And this is why the point of my video is to say I believe this would be to send a message like that grenade, like that explosive that was thrown in front of Archduke Ferdinand in Sarajevo, that I believe this killing of Charlie Kirk in a situation where the person gets away with it, and that would be terrifying to somebody like Donald Trump. And that this whole thing may be a message to send to Donald Trump to say, we can do this to you, and we can do this to America. And this may be a psychological operation. We can kill Charlie Kirk. We can destabilize. And that's why I just say I'm calling for stability, and for people to look at this knowing that we may never know the answer here, but we know the problem. And the problem is real, and is a global problem. There's a lot of money on the table. There's a lot of control. And anyway, I'm an old man now, and I don't even have any pants. And I'm trying to say something here. So I hope somebody will listen, and I would love to hear any commentary about this. But I go on Facebook and I put stuff like this up there, and there's no interaction. So I'll put this out there, and I'm going to say that I'm wearing no pants. You'd think that a guy wearing no pants would get listened to on some level, and have a dog who's wandering around here. See her back there? She's cool. So can't we all just get along?